All right guys, I've got one of our Frigidaire dryers here. I'm going to be doing the install on it. I just want to show you guys how we get this done. All right, so just like all of our products, it's got writing on the box to let you know which direction the item is actually sitting inside of our packaging. Right here we have our front. It's also labeled for both sides and the back. They do this so that once we uncrate it, once we pull the protective coverings off, all we got to do is push the appliance in and install it directly into the hole that it's set to fit into. All right, so with this one, with this dryer, we're going to cut these straps that are actually holding the top of our cardboard carton onto our dryer. And then we're going to gently lift our cardboard up and off. All right, so now that I've got the cardboard and the styrofoam protector off the top, let's go ahead and remove all the styrofoam from off the sides and the bottom. All right, now that I've got the styrofoam all removed, let's go ahead and remove this piece of blue tape that's holding our door closed. Open it up. I'm going after the installation instructions. I always like to review the installation instructions on any unit that I'm actually installing, just in case there have been any edits or updates to the information here. So let me go over this real quick and I'll get back with you guys in probably about 5 minutes. All right, so the next thing we need to determine on this appliance during the install is if we're going to be using a 3-prong power cord or a 4-prong power cord. We need to look at the consumer's outlet and actually make our determination so that we can actually get our power cord installed back here. Now I do want to point out there are instructions back here that tell you how to do both. They actually provide instructions in color right here on the back of the appliance. For any of you guys that have concerns or you're new to this, you can always follow the instructions, because today I'm doing a 4-prong power cord. So we're going to remove this cover first. It's one Phillips head screw. And it's going to provide us access to our block. Now if you look at our block, it's got a neutral wire being held in place by the ground, or it's got a white wire being held in place by our ground, and then we're looking at our 3 terminals on our block right there. That's where our dryer cord is going to connect to. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my ground screw. Since I've got a 4-prong, my green grounding wire off of my power cord is actually going to go right here. And I am going to move my white wire up to my center, the center of my terminal block. It's actually going to be connected with my neutral. So I'm going to bring my power cord up. I'm going to take my one ground that's all by itself, make certain that it is flat side down. And I'm going to put my ground screw right back in, holding that green eyelet, holding the eyelet on that green wire, or securing it right there to the back of the appliance. There we go. All right, so now we're going to loosen up the 3 screws that are actually on my block. Now be careful in this process. If you drop one of these screws down inside of the appliance, there's only one way to get that thing back out. You're going to have to open this thing up to get it. So whenever you're taking these screws out, use extra caution. Basically make sure you're holding on to it so that you don't have one of your screws drop down inside of this cabinet. These are a fine threaded screw, so it's not something that you will be able to replace very easily. let alone we don't know what it could get into if it falls down inside of there. So I like to try to prevent them from landing inside of the appliance. All right, so let's go ahead and secure the white wires first, seeing as how I have two of them and it goes in the center. So I'm going to turn both the white wire that I disconnected from my ground screw and the center white wire on my power cord. I'm going to put my screw through both of them, and I'm going to bring it right to the center of my block. Like it's fighting me. There we go. I always go counterclockwise till it feels like I've got everything aligned. That way I don't have to worry about cross-threading any of my screws, because if you cross-thread one of your screws inside of this, you're going to have to replace the block. And that's going to create an inconvenience for not just you, but for our consumer, and we don't want that. Take your time. You may have other jobs to get to, but take your time with this part of this job especially, because a cross-threaded screw can create arcing. You're going to get arcing, which creates heat, and it can damage and melt or create a fire inside of a home. And we don't need any of that on our conscience. All right, so we've got all of our screws resecured. Now I'm going to push my power cord up a little bit. I like to take the tension off of it from where the new wires are pulling on my block. We're going to take our strain relief . Go ahead and tighten my strain relief down. I'm going to put my cover back on. There we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and connect my duct back here on the back. Leave my unit turned around for the time being just so you guys can see how I'm doing it. And it's basically just a matter of making certain that the aluminum tube has enough bite over the sheet metal while we're tightening up the screw on it. So I'm going to get mine as snug as I can by hand. Good and secure. I'm going to flip it back around so we can go ahead and plug it in and reconnect our exhaust. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten up this one back here as well. Same principle, just make sure you've got enough bite on the actual exhaust hose ducting before you tighten down the flexible ducting, and try to get it as snug as you can. While I'm back here, I'm going to go ahead and plug my power cord in as well. All right, we're also going to take a level. I want to put a level on the very front. Check how level it is. Mine can actually lean back just a tiny bit. We're also going to put it on the side. Actually pretty dead set on the sides. I'm happy with that, but I do need to lean the front back a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up, grab my adjustment legs right here underneath, raise them, and set it back down and recheck. Actually need to do this one as well. Let's recheck it. It's much better. Still good on the sides. All right, now that I've got the unit level, we've got the power cord plugged in, I've got my exhaust connected, I'm going to go ahead and run a normal cycle. I just want to verify operation of the appliance before I leave it with the customer. I want to feel comfortable about being able to get in my truck and drive away. So on a dryer, I usually let it run just long enough for the heater to engage so that I can verify that we do have heating. And I do. It is heating inside. So the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to either provide the owner's manual to the consumer in the situation that she is in the home or they are in the home whenever I'm installing the appliance. If it is a new construction home, I'm going to place this in the drawer to the left of their range. If you guys have any other questions or concerns, feel free to check us out at electroluxservicetips.com.